Hey y'all, coming to you once again from Lee County, Georgia. For anybody that's trying to find a DIY on how to remove the motor mounts on your Club Car DS. This is a 1993 Club Car DS. Different years and models will probably have different motor mounts, but the reason I'm making this video is because I couldn't find one, and the problem that happened was all because this one rubber bushing, that yellow one, was not there when I bought the golf cart probably about 8 years ago, 6 to 8 years ago. That has to be on there. That is the tongue rubber bushing that mounts to the frame of the golf cart, right up underneath your ass. I added a 2x4 because I didn't like the how the bushing had extra room that it could bounce up and down. And I got a feeling that's what happened to the first one. It bounced up and down because it has so much room between that mounting plate. You see those two heads of those bolts? And the 2x4, it had so much room to bounce up and down that I got a feeling that that metal tongue right there wore it out and it fell off. Since that happened, this is the result. The 4 carriage bolt motor mount bolts were jumping up and down, and the motor mount assembly ate through the spacer that the bolt goes through and into the bolt itself. 2 of them look just like that. The other 2 look like this, completely broken off. Completely broken off. That's what they're supposed to look like. This is the new assembly. You have 2 rubber bushings that go on top of the motor pan. You have a metal spacer that goes in there. Then you have a bolt on top. Once you have removed the bolt from the top, they will be located about right here. You see that hole right there in about the middle of the screen? That's a hole. Where that strap is put on, that's another hole. And then back there in the rear, there's 2 more. They are hard to get to. I had to put a strap through that hole after I got that bolt out in order to pull the motor in a way to where I could remove a couple of the other bolts. You remove the nut first off the top of the bolt over here, then you remove your rubber bushings. All right, and then if you can, pull the metal spacer sleeve out as well. What happened to mine, they were seized up so badly because the oil was never drained properly through that hole. There's your oil drain plug right above that big hole. I'm guessing the person who owned it before me didn't wash it off, and I got to take responsibility, nor did I. You see all the mud that's collected over here? Mud and dirt. So whenever I ride the dirt roads and there's water on the road, even when there ain't water on the road, the oily dirt is going to collect and it's going to make mud. Oil and water don't mix, but oil, dirt, and water damn sure do. And that's also what resulted in that, aside from that bushing. Clean your stuff, do preventative maintenance. So the assortment of tools I have to remove the carriage bolts from the bottom, I had to initially start off, after I removed the bolts and the bushings, there's the bushing, remember, get my hammer in a flathead screwdriver between the head of the carriage bolt and the motor pan, and then pry it down as best I could. Then get my body plastic push pin remover to also pry. Like so. If that didn't work, I move on to the cat claw, the pry bar. I got my channel locks and an assortment of needle nose pliers. Remember, you have to remove the bushings and the metal spacers from the top. That's what the metal spacers are supposed to look like. Not like that, eating all the way through. What I found was that my spacers and my bolts were seized up so badly with rust and mud that I had to go from the bottom once I removed the carriage bolts and then use a screwdriver or whatever I could to go through the hole like so. Push up, get something up underneath the screwdriver and hit it with a hammer in an effort to get the spacers out through the top, because there's just so much debris and rust and gunk in there. Just to show you the spots, 2 of them at least. There's one. See, that's for the carriage bolt. And there's the other one, the one that I showed you to begin with. The other 2 are back there. You probably can't see them in the video. Yep, there you go. There's one on the left. The other one's over there on the right. And I had to get my jack up underneath here to jack up the motor pan in order to remove this very last one, that broken one right there. It's a pain in the butt. I recommend you make sure that you're doing proper preventative maintenance. Don't ignore proper basic care like I did. Whenever you drain your oil, make sure it's all cleaned off. But also, that yellow rubber bushing was the initial cause of all of this, because it was jumping up and down hard. The motor was jumping up and down real hard. Every time you would press the gas pedal, the whole motor would jump up and down. And that's why that happened. That's why it ate through. Because it was jumping up and down like that, and it ate through. If you have any questions, as always, I'd be happy to try to answer them for you if I can. And also, as always, good luck and Godspeed.